My name is Emma Condori Mamani. I am from Bolivia, which is located in the heart of South America. I was raised among Aymaras, who are the largest indigenous group in Bolivia, and I have been a Quaker since I was a child. I am a member of Holiness Friends yearly meeting in Bolivia. I will talk about the youth ministry in Bolivia and climate change. In 2016, I attended the World Plenary in Peru. At that gathering, I heard a Quaker pastor state that there was no hope since the planet Earth would be destroyed anyway. That made me feel very sad, but the Holy Spirit of God lifted my heart and called me to take action regarding the need to take care of our planet Earth and respond to the effects of climate change. Since that year, I have been working with Bolivian Quaker youth at the Friends International Bilingual Center to educate ourselves about how we can prevent the damage to our planet and how we can take care of the people who suffer because the impacts of climate change. In 2016, a group of children, teenagers, and I worked on a project to provide water to those who couldn't afford to buy drinking water. We were responding to a water crisis caused by a drought and lack of snow falling in the mountains or the quick melting of snow that did fall. This initiative started because in that year in the city of La Paz, suddenly one day we ended up with no water. For example, in my neighborhood, there was no water in the kitchen, bathroom, or in any place in the house for almost 1 month. This issue about the water crisis in my country has been getting worse every year. For instance, in the small village where I grew up, we used to have a river where my little friends and I could swim. It was like a huge, clean pool, but unfortunately, our river disappeared little by little due to the effects of climate change. Also nowadays, my family in that village gets water only 3 times a week because there is less water that comes from the snow-capped mountains in the highlands. Bolivian Quaker youth worked on a project building biosand water filters for 5 years. On weekends, young people build biosand water filters and then install them at families' homes. However, because of the COVID pandemic, we were unable to raise funds to continue with this project to provide drinking water to the families. For Bolivian families, the water crisis due to climate change has been a major social concern. Indeed, families had to fight with soldiers and military people for their rights to have access to water around the year 2000. During that incident, the War of Water, several Bolivians were injured and others died. In Bolivia, almost 70% of its population consists of indigenous people. In the indigenous communities, families depend on nature for food and livestock. In the last 15 years, we have seen that the climate change causes extreme weather in each season, which makes people lose their crops and animals and even their houses due to the drought, fire, and flooding. For example, at the end of 2022, there was a potato crops failure due to a long drought in the highlands. Families lost their seed potatoes buried underground because there was no rain. This situation meant no food for them for the 2 following years. So the indigenous families were in despair and sadness. In January 2023, by faith, young adult friends and I organized a food security project to provide potatoes for feeding families for 3 months because there would be no harvest in March and April. We didn't have any budget for this project, but when Quakers in the United States heard about the potatoes crop failure, they gave donation for purchasing the potatoes for food for more than 150 indigenous families. And in the second half of 2023, we distributed seed potatoes to more than 300 families in the indigenous communities. Although it was a risk to sow seed potatoes again because rains might not come, families had faith that they would have a good harvest in 2024. Fortunately, it rained enough, so the harvest was abundant this year. All of our young friend volunteers and the families felt the love of God through this food security project. That love transformed us to love more, to learn more, and to serve more in society. So we hope to continue distributing food and seed potatoes to more indigenous families this year. For me, this service work done by young adult friends in Bolivia has taught me that we can bring hope to our planet Earth as we face the impacts of climate change. Let's hear the still voice of God today to take action so that we witness the love of God within our family, in our faith community, and in the world. In Psalm 95, verses 7 to 8, it says, "We are all together before God's sight, so let not harden our hearts."